Give thanks everyone for being here present at this wonderful occasion where we are all gathered here to talk about Rastafari unity and economic prosperity for Rastafari and Africans worldwide. Now today I will be talking about the unity in the Rastafari community and the economic prosperity for Africans worldwide, those at home and abroad. Greetings and blessings to all gathered here today. As I said before, it is an honor to speak on a topic that resonates deeply with our spiritual, cultural, and economic journey. My name is Okita Lamont. I am the second vice president of the People's Political Party. I am also member of the Secretariat for the Rastafari Mansions and Organizations, the RMO. I'm also one of the executive members for the Elders Council of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. I'm also a businessman, and I also am a marine engineer by profession. Today, unity in Rastafari community with economic prosperity for Africans at home and abroad is our topic. All right, and that's what I'll be presenting on. In this 30-minute presentation, we will be exploring how unity within the African community, or the Rastafari movement, how unity within the Rastafari movement can serve as a catalyst for economic empowerment, cultural preservation, and global African solidarity. The spiritual foundation of unity in Rastafari. Let us look at that. Now, Rastafari is rooted in the teachings of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, who emphasized that there is an importance for unity among Africans. The concept of I and I, reflects also this divine connection between individuals and the collective spirit of the community. It is also representative of how Rastafari see unity. All right. Now, just want to talk about the unity in spirituality. It is not just about agreement, but about also shared purpose and divine alignment. These are the things that we Rastafari are pushing. The principle of one love also promotes compassion, respect, and collective upliftment. Now, the levity and the communal living, of Rastafari also encourages interdependence and mutual support. His Imperial Majesty tells us that unity is not a luxury, it is a necessity for survival and progress. Historical context about African disunity and its consequences. Now, we see where even today we see how the disunity of the countries in Africa has led to Africa being suppressed, for so many years, and now we are having, unity in from Burkina Faso, Niger, and these countries coming together to create that unity, and this wave of unity message is spreading across Africa today, and we're glad about that. The African continent, and its diaspora have suffered greatly from division, as we have seen. We all know this. Colonialism and slavery. Those things fractured African societies. We see where tribalism and classism also continue to hinder progress. In the African communities. The diaspora disconnect is also something that contributes to this disunity, and Africans abroad often lack connection to their roots. They often even know about their roots, come to think of it. So these divisions have led to the economic exploitation, as we have seen in the continent, cultural erosion, as we have seen here in the diaspora, where ones and ones are not even connected to their culture. They don't even remember their culture. They don't know the culture of Africa, Afrocentricity, of their African forefathers and foremothers, and the political instability, as we have seen also in the African continent, where, because of this whole division, there's this instability in the political structures in different countries within Africa. So Rastafari calls for a reversal of this trend through repatriation, reconnection, and restoration. Now, the role of Rastafari in rebuilding African unity. Rastafari is more than a spiritual movement. It is actually a global cultural force. All right, as Bob Marley would say, there's a natural mystic flowing in the air. That's the mystic of Rastafari, that naturalness. Where ones are not seen a lot of Rastafari ones doing the whole on the sidewalk, what you call it, promotion, or coming on the buses and talking about Rastafari. But mystically, you see, Rastafari is growing. Rastafari is even one of the is even the fastest growing organization or cultural group, movement, in the past 20 years. Come to think about it, how Rastafari has grown. Not even 20, over the past 40 years. Let's put it like that. Rastafari has grown so significantly. It's so fast in the growing. It's growing faster than Christianity, growing faster than Muslim faith. So we see how Rastafari has been growing. Rastafari, as I say, they are cultural ambassadors. Rastafari, we are cultural ambassadors. We bring reggae music to the world. Dreadlocks and the Ital living have spread African consciousness worldwide. Pan-Africanism, Rastafari also responsible for spreading that as well. Rastafari promotes unity among all African peoples. Now, repatriation, and land projects. Some of these are like the initiatives that we see in Ethiopia, Ghana, and other African nations, where we see, these repatriation and land projects taking place, where ones are heading forward home to Africa, to reclaim their culture and that connection, with the continent and their, foreparents and brothers and sisters over there in the continent. So we give thanks for that. Rastafari provides that framework for reconnecting Africans across borders, and we give thanks for that. We should really give ourselves a clap for that as Rastafari. All right. Now, it is crucial for us to have that unity, because unity in the Rastafari community also equals economic prosperity. Now, economic prosperity cannot be achieved in isolation. We all know that. Every other culture knows that. Every other group, of people have seen that. The prosperity of the group relies on the unity of the group. All right. So unity, it enables ones to pool their resources, so that you will have shared investments, cooperative businesses, and community are saving, community savings. Community savings, allow for ones within the community to be able to get support from that community saving. There's also the collective bargaining power that comes with this unity for economic prosperity, where you have stronger influence in global markets once you have that collective bargaining power. So as a collective, if we are able to have that that oneness in our economic structure, and force forward, we will have a stronger influence on the global front, when we are bargaining in the global markets. Knowledge exchange, so pardon me. All right. Knowledge exchange. That slide just went away, and I seem to not be able to get it back right now. However, economic models that empower the community. Let us move on to that. Now, there are several economic models that align with Rastafari values. You have the cooperative economics, which is pretty much Ujama. And that's a shared ownership and decision making. It speaks to shared ownership and decision making. The cooperative economy. Example for this is like farming collectives and artisan cooperatives. Ones here would have probably known about these kind of farming collectives and artisan cooperatives. A farming collective that we can identify now is the Rock. That's something that is established by the President General for the UNIA overseas. Where he has the Rock, and this is a farming collective. Where they sell the produce from Afrocentric farmers. Yeah, so that's great there. Now, community investment funds is also a great model, economic model that can empower our Afrocentric communities, our Rastafari communities as well. So diaspora contributions to African development, transparent and accountable structures. These things speaks to community investment funds. cultural enterprises, reggae festival, Rastafari merchandise, ital food businesses. These are some of the cultural aspects of cultural economical models that we can look into as well. We can also be promoting culture while generating income. These are the cultural enterprises that we can consider for creating that economic empowerment within the Rastafari communities. So there are some, successful case studies, as it relates to unity and prosperity. So for one of them is the Ethiopia Shashamane land grant, where His Imperial Majesty had gifted, a portion of land in Shashamane for, Rastafari ones within the diaspora to come back to Ethiopia, to come back to Africa, and make use of this opportunity, for prosperity. And this is also encouraging unity among ourselves as well, a unity between the Africans at home and Africans abroad. This also will strengthen community development through agriculture and education. Now in Jamaica, we see where reggae and culture tourism, contributes to this kind of, unity and prosperity. Unity among artists and promoters has created this global demand for reggae and cultural tourism, in Jamaica. The economic impact through music is self-explanatory for itself. You see the how music for Jamaica from Jamaica has impacted one's and one's lives economically. Merchandises are coming through from these and many events support the prosperity through that kind of unity. All right, then in Ghana we see where we have these diaspora investment initiatives, where you have the Year of Return campaign, and you have also real estate going on over there, agriculture, by African Americans coming into Ghana and establishing these kind of unity, prosperity movements, these kind of ventures. Then, in other words, all right. Now, despite their unity, there are some challenges, that we, and the potential, despite the potential, for unity and the potential for economic development and economic advancement within the African continent, and in the diaspora among ourselves, there are some challenges. You have still challenges such as internal divisions are still, remaining. There are some ideology, some differences in ideas within even Rastafari, same way, that we still need to iron out, or still need to just, give and take, in other words, agree to disagree, in other words, and move forward in a unity set speed, but these kind of, internal divisions, these kind of differences, are still lingering, and, we call to the ones and ones, to look past these things, and let us move on forward in a unity towards our economic prosperity. Now, there's also, lack of infrastructure, poor access to capital and markets, that we are facing, so this is a hurdle that we need to really overcome. We want to be able to have access to capital and access to the different markets, so that we are able to push forward what we have to offer to the world. All right, and on top of that, we are still having these external pressures, global economic systems, that exploit African labor and resources. These global economic systems and governments, continue to exploit African labor and our resources, and that is something that we have to unite in order to stop. This is the kind of collective this is the kind of collective bargaining power that we need in order to stop these kind of external pressures. We need the collective bargaining power to stop these external pressures. All right, so these must be addressed through education, dialogue, and strategic planning. Strategic planning also ensuring that we do the action after the planning, because a lot of times we are doing plannings and all of these things, but then we are not carrying forward the motion, in action. All right, so more education about these things, to the younger ones and also to the present, the Rastafari ones, and also, talk more about it and plan about it and then act on whatever we have planned. All right. The way forward, building a unified economic vision. Now, give thanks, that, we actually have it in our mindset to have a way forward. To move forward, we must create platforms for dialogue, conferences such as these, online forums, and cultural exchanges where, we are, exchanging ones from different parts of Africa to here in the diaspora, sharing the experiences, etc. All right. Another thing, developing youth leadership, getting the youths involved in the whole leadership structure, is very important because they are the future. If we don't have that kind of succession planning, in place, and activated, then, we are going to lose out. So empower the next generation with skills and the vision for the future of Africa and the diaspora. We also need to establish economic institutions, for ourselves, not just depending on the institutions that were presented to us, established on our backs, actually, so our own banks we need to establish. We need to establish trading networks and investment hubs, so for ourselves, so that we can have that form of independence, and also it comes back again to the collective bargaining power, all right, that we require in order to break these oppressions. All right. Also, we have to promote ethical entrepreneurship. Ethical entrepreneurship. It is important that when you're doing business with ones and ones, you can, be trusted. Trustworthiness is important in the business. Transparency. All right. So businesses that uplift rather than exploit. These are things we have to ensure that we take into consideration and activate. So unity must be unity must be intentional, yeah, and international, strategic, and also inclusive. So as we say, we plan, we discuss, we plan, we talk, but then there must be actions after that. And so the conclusion, a call to action. Unity in the Rastafari community is not just a dream, and we should not ever think of it as just a dream. It is a divine mandate. It is upon us for us to do this. It is like a vow upon us for us to do this, to ensure that the unity is attained. All right. So economic prosperity for Africans at home and abroad is achievable through collective efforts, through spiritual alignment, through strategic action. All right, action comes back again to the action. All right, so let us rise as one people, guided by the light of Jah Rastafari, and build a future where Africans everywhere can thrive in dignity, abundance, and unity. Honorable ones and ones, is one love, one aim, one destiny, as the Honorable Prophet Marcus Messiah Garvey says. And we give thanks again for each and every one who are here. Whatever questions you might have, I hope you can put them forward. This is a recording, nonetheless, though. Queen Mother Moses, give thanks for including I and I into this whole, occasion. Give thanks. Everyone, give thanks for all the previous presenters and presenters who will be coming after I and I. Give thanks. So blessed love and one perfect love, everyone. Rastafari.